ladies and gentlemen of the Heavy Metal History Podcast. I have a very special episode. They're all special, but today we have Bryan and Andy from the band Thou. Guys, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, man. I was telling Bryan this, Andy. I think I reached out to you guys like years ago, back when your first album was, I think, celebrating a 10-year anniversary. And
Yes.
I was trying to set something up then, and it just never happened. And it worked out. We're here.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Mitch. It's
He's
perfect
connected.
timing.
What is this?
I like this. I like
The video guys got look at this dude.
What?
Hey.
Are you in a closet?
It's my office.
Is your office a closet?
Cubicle.
It's like a big closet. I keep all my guitars and all my camera stuff.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's just like I was saying, you need that like rough edged routine to just like get you doing work.
My girlfriend keeps trying to make me move
What
all
did I
this shit in
miss?
the closet.
What did I
We
miss?
actually just started, man. We're good.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
Mitch, in case you're watching on YouTube, Mitch just joined. If you're Mitch just joined. So there you go.
What up?
What's up, man? Thanks for doing this. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you all being here.
Look at Andy, Mike. Did y'all talk about that already?
What about it?
Look
Got
at
a nice little setup.
Are you all doing on Joe Rogan or something?
I use this to record music. I have a studio in my house.
The Andy Hour podcast.
Yeah. No, that would be like if I had one of those like, the old style like silver mics with the lines. That's more talk show host.
Hatchback used to be one of those when they played.
I just use this because I heard it was a podcast, so I wanted my audio quality to be better. But I guess you just don't care. So
It sounds great.
The-
Built into my nice computer.
yeah, I mean, I have that too. For what you're doing, that's great.
Yeah. I'm slumming it today.
I mean, hey, it all washes out in the end. I'll go through and edit it to make it sound like you have a microphone.
It's true. You're gonna go
Better.
put some flanger on all our voices.
Brian, do you have the nice podcast mic today or what?
Yeah, I got the good mic. Yeah, stop with that.
Is it backwards again like it was last time? Or
I don't think that's right. I don't think maybe it's supposed to be sideways. I don't know. Do I sound funny?
sounds great.
Yeah,
Look a little
it's
funny.
working.
It ain't broke.
So, guys, the thing that I like to start with on the podcast to kind of get things rolling. I know we don't have a ton of time, so we don't have to spend too much on it. But I like to know your guys' like personal heavy metal history, or even like non-metal stuff that kind of like got you into the genre and like wanted to like inspire you to start a band, make music, all that kind of stuff. We'll start with Bryan since he's on the top of my screen, and we'll work our way around if that works for you guys.
I mean, I'm still not in the genre. I'm still that was what got me into the genre. I mean, I came up on all the like '90s grunge stuff, Nirvana,
Nice.
Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, basically. And then that stuff basically got me into punk. So basically did like Rage Against the Machine to Inside Out. And then
Nice.
I did like Pearl Jam to Fugazi to Minor Threat. And then from Minor Threat Inside Out, I basically jumped straight to Earth Crisis.
Damn,
And
that's a good jump.
And then it was pretty much just like mid '90s, late '90s hardcore,
I mean, dude, the
which is
stuff.
pretty much metal. I mean, like Coalesce,
Yeah.
Botch, or whatever. Like it's essentially metal with like more like socio-political lyrics or whatever.
Right.
So
Yeah, not just gore lyrics or I hate my girlfriend lyrics.
well,
Like
I'm
most death metal.
I'm
stuff
from New
like that.
Orleans. I'm the only one from New Orleans. So like
Battery.
Battery.
Okay.
Growing
I'm really
up
New
here, it was like the metal scene was very like kind of knucklehead metal dude type stuff,
Mhm.
which I didn't really like. I mean, the closest thing to crossover was I Hate God, because I Hate God would play like a lot of like, I mean, they're basically like a punk band. They would play like the hardcore Sunday matinees and stuff. So I saw them when I was like 15, and
Nice.
never really thought of them as like a metal band. They always sort of like were more like the punk hardcore stuff for me. But yeah, I don't know. I never got into like the stuff down here. I never got into like Acid Bath. I never got into. I really didn't get into Crowbar till we covered them.
Oh wow.
I don't really like Sonic Green. I don't really like Goat Whore.
It's fair. It's
What are
acquired taste.
the other big bands? Exhorder. I was too young for Exhorder, I think.
Yeah.
Down.
Damn, no, I
Oh
never,
yeah, shit.
never liked I hated Pantera because of the Rebel Flag shit.
Yeah.
So I kind of skipped. I still haven't even listened to Pantera. I mean, I could tell you like the one song.
Let's do it.
Dude,
Let's get you into it.
Oh, get me into it. Yeah, yeah. Now's the time. Now that I'm getting older and my morality is like softening. Like
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, just start wearing Rebel Flag shirts, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's what it takes.
fit back in and matter.
Open up a whole new audience for us, honestly.
Oh,
Yeah. Fine.
Andy, what about you, man?
I mean, same with the grunge stuff for sure. Was like the first like aggressive music I got into. You know, I have 4 older sisters, so all their music taste kind of like filtered through me. There were like Gen X people, so you know,
Okay.
I was listening to like Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, like as those bands were coming out, and I was like a little kid. That was like the first thing, and then probably around that same time, I guess Metallica, I guess would probably be like the first actual metal band that I got into. I got a Ride the Lightning cassette when I was like 11 or 12. And that kind of led me down a path, but I didn't really get to like, I guess Acid Bath for sure was like the first like super extreme band I heard,
Mhm.
you know, when I was in like middle school or junior high. And then I don't know, I didn't really get like deep into extreme music until like probably I was in like early like right after high school probably. And that was just like seeking out the most extreme stuff I could find. So like getting into like grindcore and that kind of thing. And then really with like the slower stuff, I guess it wasn't until I heard like ISIS and that first Pelican demo, that was like the impetus to do the Out. Basically was like hearing a way to do super aggressive music, but like in a more thoughtful, less boneheaded kind of way. That was kind of like the inspiration to get like deeper into that stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I don't really listen to a ton of metal these days, but I every now and again. I mean, I have like there's like two black metal albums, 2 death metal albums, you know, 2 grind albums that I will still enjoy. But you know, I'm not like at my house every day listening to that stuff.
Yeah. No, hey, I feel you, man. I've gotten like really into like new wave and goth rock over the past few years. And like I'd rather listen to that than metal half the time. But you know, once I have to keep up with like new releases and shit, that's like the only time I actually like listen to metal. Yeah, it's weird getting older, right? Just taste change. Mitch, what about you, man?
Similar, the grunge stuff. The first concert I ever went to was Pearl Jam and the Ramones, and
Oh shit,
my
yeah.
my parents were real into Pearl Jam, and my uncles were into like Stone Temple Pilots a lot. And then around 6th grade or something, my uncles were like, "You gotta listen to Dead Kennedys and Echo and the Bunnymen. Those are like the cool bands." And I was like, "All right, cool." And that's what it got me into like the weirder punk stuff. Compared to like, I mean, my first stuff was like my band 311 and Incubus and Fishbone and No Doubt were like the things I found on my own, and I still love all that stuff. But then like, you know, that just leads to heavier stuff. I'm the least metal fan in the band by far, probably, and know the least. So it's good that I'm on this podcast. I'm gonna have a lot to bring to the table. But yes, it's
learn a lot.
I'm gonna learn a lot.
I mean, hey, I appreciate those outside influences because you know, a lot of times when I do talk to bands, I kind of like try to get that out of them if they're not like purists, you know, like
Mm.
a lot of them are like, oh yeah, I listen to like this crazy fucking techno band or whatever, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, I can kind of see that influence now, you know, when they talk about it and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm glad there's not that purity in metal anymore, that you don't just have to be like, I only listen to death metal, I only listen to this. It's like, no, I like this kind of stuff. And you know,
I think that's a big part of kind of, I mean, from my outside perspective, what makes Thou fun and cool to me is that we're not all pulling from the same sort of metal catalog of influences. That
yeah.
there's, you know, a wider range of stuff we're all trying to sneak into it, and then Thou is what happens when you do that.
So let's see, how do I want to frame this? So over the past few years, man, the way that I've seen you guys put out this body of work, I mean, you guys have been on a tear since 2018. Like what, 6, 7 records, couple cover albums in there and stuff like that. Uh, Collaboration records, like all kinds of stuff. I mean, it seems like you guys have just been endlessly motivated and like productive. So like where's all this coming from?
I'm so glad it seems that way because it does not feel that way. Like the collection of Nirvana stuff that came out is
Yeah.
just a collection of stuff from the past handful of years, you know. So that one,
Oh, okay.
that's not like a new thing we sat down and did. And then there's like another collection of stuff. Not saying that we don't work. We haven't like done stuff in that time, but
Yeah.
it's more spread out, I think, and then we kind of, I don't know, comes out at a pace that seems like it's more packed in than it really is, right?
Mostly, yeah. For the most part. I mean, you know, there was a period, I guess, the 2018 stuff, definitely that's the case. Like, you know, I mean, we did a lot of work, but it was over a period of time, and some of
Mhm.
the songs, like when I think about the stuff that came out in 2018, uh, you know, Inconsolable, we wrote a lot of that. We did a whole lot of that work in the studio.
Wow.
But the rest of it was like already kind of written. House Primordial was like mostly improvisational, so like we didn't even have we went in there with like barely any ideas, so we just kind of banged that out. Didn't take a ton of time. Rhea Sylvia, like Matthew had already written those songs,
We
so
we had we had recorded it like
yeah,
years before Magus, I think, because we recorded Ray Sylvia and that chunk of Nirvana covers
yeah. So
after
like
it or something.
some
Oh
some of
wow.
it stuff we had been sitting on, like recorded material sitting on. Some of it was just written material that hadn't been recorded, but we'd been sitting on. We were most of the time, like we spent most of 2017 working on Magus,
Okay.
2016, 2017. And that was the thing that took the most time. Like like those songs took way more work than those EPs,
Yeah.
which kind of like, aside from Ray Silva, like House Primordial and Inconsolable, which kind of came together in the studio. And then the collaborations, it's like that took a lot of work, but you know, those were done in like marathon sessions. So like, you
Mhm.
know, each time we'd get together, it was, you know, we get together for a couple days all day or a few days all day. But really, I mean, it's not like we sat for months like working on either of those collaborations. We knocked it out in like a handful of sessions, and then recorded it. So I don't know. It looks like a ton of stuff to me. It's more really that we just crammed a bunch of work into like sessions, you know, like
Oh,
there were like four days of intense work and then like nothing. So and even after that, it's like some of the stuff took a while to come out. Some of it is like attached to other recording sessions. Yeah, to me it doesn't seem that prolific, and it's not. I don't think it's not really driven by us saying like, oh man, like I'm so inspired. I've got to get these songs out. You know, it's more just
yeah.
like an idea came up that we could do something, and it's like, let's do something for this. Okay, well let's write some material for that project. And so that's like, just like with a lot of stuff with us, agreeing to something and then doing the material is kind of the way the material follows the commitment. The commitment is what motivates us, whether we like it or not, to churn out material.
Well, I appreciate you clarifying that because, like, just from my outside and seeing like all that stuff come out, I was like, damn, man, these guys must just like have endless ideas and are just constantly writing stuff. So it's good to
We should
hear.
have lied. We should have come up with a good lie. Like, yeah, man, we just
I know. I feel bad saying that because it's like
No.
I want people to have this idea of us as just nonstop busting out hits one
yeah.
after the other.
I wanted to take time off, but these
Yeah.
ideas just they got to get out. You know.
Torture genius.
All right. All right. We are going to be talking about the new record, Umbilical. So take me back then, I guess, to where this project started, like when you guys started to have those ideas for this record here.
A while back.
Conceptually, like 2017, probably. Like as far as the name of the record and kind of a general idea, like a very, very loose idea of it, probably like 2017. Like, and then the actual execution of it didn't really start probably till 2019 or 2020. Like in terms of like the first songs, first riffs getting written. And I think
we keep saying 2020, but was it really? I think it might have been 2021. When was COVID? Was 2020 or 2019?
2020.
Right. So we didn't start till like a year.
Well, the songs that like I think I had at least like some of those riffs, some of those songs I had started writing in 2020. Like I think I started writing The Promise in 2020, I want to say.
I thought we didn't even start talking about it until like a year into the lockdown when it was like finally starting to ease up. We thought we'd practice.
Right. We didn't actually get together or really get like the ball rolling on like as a band doing anything till like 2021.
Damn.
But yeah, and even then, I mean, it was like we just went through a lot of phases of here's a few songs, let's demo these, let's rework them, let's add a couple more songs, let's demo that again. Now we're still gonna tweak songs. Like we were tweaking stuff right up until the end.
It was like one of the first times in a while we were like, let's take our time. There's no deadline. There's nothing. We're like, no commitments. And it really took its toll that way.
We definitely spent a lot of time with some of these songs, like thinking them and rethinking them again.
So is it better to have the deadline and the commitment to like
I don't know, maybe,
or is it worse?
Well, I'm not sure. I think they're both just bad.
They're both bad. There's no good.
There's just nothing good. There's no good.
It's a matter of like being a little too nitpicky about how things sound, or just like was it like a songwriting thing?
It's songwriting. It's a lot of it was arrangements.
Yeah.
Does this riff fit? Does this song fit? Should this part happen one more time? You know,
it's a different album, so there was a lot more. I don't know. There was a lot of thought put into the sound of it, the overall sound of like what the presentation of it's going to be like, and then there's the, you know, like the way we record it was different. The structure of the songs were trying to be faster, more abrasive, a little looser. And that's just, we do that on EPs and splits and stuff sometimes, but putting that on like the full length, we want to take time with it, but we also like don't want to be too precious. And so there was this weird mix figuring out how to get that done.
But that was like, that's something that like, yeah, we didn't sit down and talk about what are the rules. It's just the nature of the songs as we were going through them came to define what the vibe of the album was. So that's part of why it took so much time, is because we kind of went back and forth on what was allowed and what was the vibe of the record
and figuring out all the rules.
I'm not sure we ever really figured it out, because to me it's still kind of all over the place. But
I don't think we hit what we were aiming for.
No, we never
talked about.
We never did that though.
Right, but that's fine.
It's the artist dilemma.
Yeah.
You're always critical of your own work, and you're never you're an Uber, you're never gonna stop tweaking it. You're always gonna nitpick something and be like, well, I could have done this different, or maybe we could have done this different. But in the end, you know, it's done. You guys did it. You finished it. So
Yeah,
Thank
I think
God.
we nailed it.
You think we, even though we missed the mark, we still nailed it.
Yeah, shoot for the moon. If you don't make it, you land amongst the stars. That's
that
up.
was kind of the driving ethos of this record. Yeah,
Shoot-
we
shoot
had
for-
that saying in the practice space in big letters with a motivational.
land among the stars.
We all got it. We all got it tattooed in various places at the end of the after the record. James Witten has one too.
Yeah. I think we did a good job. I love this record. I think it's so fun.
You heard it here first, folks.
I do
so
skip.
fun.
I skip 1 or 2 songs whenever I listen through. Still.
Which
Which ones?
Which one?
I'm not telling you.
One.
I'm not saying.
I like I don't already know.
Which one do you think?
I'm not gonna say
I want to know what you
it.
think. Have you heard the album, Dustin?
Yeah, so Bryan sent it to me. I got about halfway through it before he was like, "Hey man, we're ready to go." And I was like, "Oh shit."
Could turn this crap off.
I get it. Okay.
I heard one song. I heard them all. All right.
Yeah. What do you
Real
think
talk.
of half the album?
Man, there was one song. Let's see here. I want to say it was either Lonely Vigil or House of Ideas that had this fucking incredible like melodic part in it at the end, near the end. That was fucking sick. I really like that, especially after like all those crushing like riffs into it, and then it's just like, oh, we had this like melodic part.
So
But I mean, you guys do that pretty often sometimes.
that's
But
gonna be House of Ideas.
It's House of Ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, I read a couple reviews that specifically mentioned that part of the song, which is funny
Mhm.
because I don't think that part of the song's particularly interesting because we just kind of like
really,
doing the same thing over and over. I think it's effective in what we're
I
doing.
love it.
But I think it sounds good, but it doesn't like stand out to me. So it's been funny to hear people cite that.
I like it as like a little break from.
Yeah.
It's like one of those kind of like a little interlude.
yeah, I
The
think it's
rest
just
of
the
the
way the
songs are
guitar
good,
tone sounds
though.
too, man. It's good.
Thank
What do you think about the rest of the song, Dustin? Like the first half of it, were you into that at all, or no?
Well, yeah, who wrote this? Sounds like a handsome guy wrote this.
Yeah, what do you
Yeah,
think?
I
of that?
mean, so here's the thing. I actually get on bands that I don't like at all, and then I tell them how much their music sucks.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
We're at that
That's
part of the
not a bad
podcast now.
idea. That's a
Well,
great
if
idea.
somebody in this podcast right now wrote one song for the album and it was House of Ideas, what would you say to that person about the rest of the song?
I would say I only listened to it once,
Uh-huh.
and that was like 3
Enough.
minutes ago.
So
I don't know. It's always hard for me to dissect music because like you know, there's always that first initial like run through for me, and I'm like, okay, cool. I listen to everything, and then I'll
Yeah.
go back and I'll really like, okay, like how did they put this song together functionally? Dissect it. I don't know. It's a dumb way to listen to music sometimes. I can't just like
No
on
dumb
and
way.
enjoy it.
I'm just trying to get you to say you like my song. Is all I'm trying to do. It's the
Yeah,
one
man.
song. Oh,
Well, he can't say definitively yet, so don't feel pressured.
Right. That's
Let's do it once.
like I only listen to half the album, so I can't say that
Might
it's
be
like
the
my
worst
favorite
one
song.
on there.
okay. All right.
I'll make sure I put that in the show notes. Worst song on album. Do not
Yeah.
do not listen.
Do not
Little
interact.
first interview wrap
Yeah.
up.
So Bryan, as far as like your input when they're writing and recording stuff, like where do you come into everything? Because they were talking about their writing stuff. Like, what about you?
Well, I mean, now I'm in the like the way we did this record, we were all in a space together,
Mhm.
basically having everybody sort of having a say in the arrangement and where things would be. That's sort of like a change for us. I don't know when we really started doing that. More Magus maybe a little bit, but not even really.
Yeah, a little bit. I think the catalyst with that really taking place was the Emma record.
Emma, for sure.
That's when everyone really got like full say.
That was the first
being-
Tyler record, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of when when more people started speaking up louder about what they wanted.
Interesting.
It
Yeah,
wasn't it wasn't like we were like not allowed.
Yeah.
You were not
Yeah.
allowed to. It was just that, people, well, I don't know. I can't say
No,
it. So
Matthew and Andy are the main songwriters for sure, and because they know this type of music better than me and Bryan, they know this like this sound. But when it got to the Emma record, that's a little more our wheelhouse. So we have, oh, okay, we've got ideas now. And before they're bringing us stuff that's like done and workshop, and they've done it, it's been through the paces with them. But now we're getting to like, okay, we're more comfortable speaking up. We have ideas to varying degrees of acceptance amongst the rest of the guys.
Oh, you got to maintain a high bar of quality,
Yeah. But yeah, that's when it started. Having Tyler jump in for Emma was a big part too, because even he had a lot of ideas about the way songs would be structured and like what should happen, which was cool.
Yeah, so I mean, I was basically in the practice space with him as we were writing stuff. I mean, usually like Andy or Matthew or Mitch in the case of this record would bring a song to practice, and this is roughly the song, and then we'd start picking it apart and moving stuff around and whatever. I brought, there's like two songs that, well, a song and a half that I brought from like a studio session me and our engineer James Witten have been working on, where it's like we had like a roughed out demo of a thing that I had for another thing we were working on that we stole for this record. Lonely Vigil. And, yeah.
And your favorite part of House of Ideas.
And your favorite part from House of Ideas.
Okay.
That was Bryan.
So I can't play anything though. So like mainly for me, it's like, and I also don't really know how to like talk about music in a way that like a musician would.
Sure.
And he's not going to learn either.
And I'm not going to learn either. So it's like, usually for me, it's like, oh, make this part longer, make this part shorter, make this part sadder. Oh, this part's not heavy enough. Like
and
that.
And then do it more like a. That's the kind of notes we get.
I mean, hey, not everybody needs to know the technical terms, right? It's like,
that's right.
Give me more chug, give me more tremolo, give me more wheedly wahs, you like, I know you kind of mentioned that you kind of write things sporadically and like some things you use for some projects and others, but as far as this record, like, was it something, I know you mentioned you started a song like way back before, like, or around the pandemic, but as far as when you were ready to like record, was everything like done, or were you still working on things as you kind of started to get in there and record everything?
Definitely still up to the last minute. I mean, I think I'm trying to remember. I think the last song that came together was Panic Stricken. Is that right? And even that, I think we only had a final like arrangement of that song like maybe a month or less than a month before we went in to record it. So like things were still being tweaked as we were going, for sure, like up to the last minute. Some of the songs we've been playing for a long time and they were set in stone. Like The Promise, we added like one small thing, but I mean, even that song like it was pretty much set in stone for like many months, and we played it live a lot of these songs we played live, but some of them definitely it was up to the last minute. And even when we went to record, it was still kind of like, okay, how does the song actually start? Like, do we start with feedback? Do we start with like everyone comes in at the same time? Like some of that stuff was definitely still up in the air in the studio.
It's not a lot of stuff that anybody would notice though. It's just like like the small stuff that we like stress out about, that we were like changing and moving around. I think by the time we were going to record, like the songs were mostly the songs, but we also wanted to go in the studio this time with like more of a attitude about experimenting with the stuff a little bit and pushing it. But I mean, that's always hard when you're like trying to track
Yeah.
You know, because we live track everything, so it's like and this time like a little bit even more so with the way we had it set up. So, you know, when you record, you know, what we get to a certain point and it's like, well, it's gotta be what it's gotta be. I mean, I think if we had heard something in there where there was an idea for something, we probably would have tried it. But
Yeah, but we're not well suited to like, jamming, because like the forward motion of the band, it's like steering like it's like steering an 18 wheeler. So, for us to like experiment and do stuff, they're just, we don't have a lot of like a lot of grace to move around with. It's like, it's everything has to be kind of set in stone for everything to work with the way that our music sounds. We can't like, yeah, it just doesn't really lend itself to a lot of improvisation, for better or worse. So,
We should try
and
them.
yeah, I mean, we did try a little bit on this record with like a song or two. But even within that, like, there's still room for it. It can be done. It's just a challenge, and it's also just not the way we've done things. And
Mhm.
we've really focused more on getting tight songwriting and just doing interesting things with the songwriting. That's been like the primary driver of everything since probably like Magus, I guess.
Yeah.
Really like tightening up the structures, not just doing the same riff for like 5 minutes or whatever, unless it's necessary.
I
we
mean,
we talked about like adding jammy parts before, like spaces where somebody
Oh,
can, like, do something.
we talk about it. Yeah. Oh, we definitely talk about it. It's just easier said than done. It's just
Yeah.
like with this type of music, it's just like it doesn't. We could doing it and making it sound good is like a real challenge. Like for it to still be interesting, that's the real challenge.
uh, Ryan, so you mentioned that you guys live record everything. Is that how you guys have always done it? Is that like your preferred style of record your music just to get the sound of how you guys sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's pretty much all the basic tracking, so drums, guitars, bass, all happens at once.
Mhm.
Usually everything's kind of like everybody's in the same room and everything's isolated, but
Yeah.
we this record, Andy and Matthew wanted to get back in the rooms with the amps, so we had to do kind of a goofy setup to make it work with like camera and a monitor. So like Mitch and Tyler were in one room, and then Andy and Matthew were in another room. Just so you get more of the feedback, like the live feel, which worked. We made it work at James's spot, but I think probably if we went to a different spot, I mean, that was a part of with Umbilical. We were originally going to try to like find another, like James was still going to record it, but we were going to try to find another space to use that was maybe had a better setup for doing what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I mean, after this we'll just have to see what the songs shape up to be like before we kind of decide on where we want to do stuff.
But being in the same room as the amps was a total game changer. Like I think it led us to play better. I think it sounds better in terms of like us being able to get feedback.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a big improvement from my perspective. But all the performances are still live in terms of what's going into the computer or whatever. It's like we always play at the same time. We've never done anything where we're really recording in isolation unless it's been like a one-off thing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch and Andy lived in California for a few years, and so
Yeah.
at one point we would do some recordings where the other three of us would basically get the basic tracking down, and then they would come in and overdub their parts. I think the Raganus. No, I think we live track. We did that at Personas.
No, the Ragana stuff we did it that way because I had to come in and overdub my parts on that. And then there was a Nirvana cover that I had.
Yeah, a bunch of the Nirvana stuff.
Scott Evans recorded my parts for a couple of the Nirvana songs.
Well, y'all came the stuff on the Here split too. You guys came back and
Yeah,
dubbed
there's
it.
a handful, but we never done a record that way. All the full length,
Well, Reyes Sylvia.
full lengths though. All the
Yeah.
full lengths have been all
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, we would never. I mean, we would never do that for a full. I mean, we would just take the time out to.
But for this other shit, who cares?
Well, I mean,
Well,
do you guys
the other
feel
stuff-
lucky that you kind of have that freedom to be able to live track like that? Because it seems like a lot of modern metal. I mean, I don't want to say fake. It's not fake, but it's to the point where it's too fucking perfect these days, and it's like, well,
Well,
you know,
I think that's the nature of just the kind of music we're making, though, because if
right?
we were making something a lot more technical, I would see the benefit in, because it's pretty hard to live track super technical music and have everyone come out with a good take.
Mhm.
But for what we're doing, I think it needs the space to breathe, and the kind of like natural ebbs and flows. We very rarely have ever used a metronome, click track, anything like that. So it's just, I think that gives it more of a live, like natural feel. And I think that's conducive to the kind of music we're making. But I think that's really also just, I don't know, we're lazy. I would never want to like spend an afternoon like plotting out tempo changes in a song when we could just fucking record it and it sounds like how we play it. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I think that goes a long way personally, but
I mean,
personal stuff.
we definitely punch in and fix mistakes, but there aren't.
Yeah.
I
that's
mean,
fine.
honestly, those punch ins when y'all do it, there's not a lot of like stuff getting fixed. Usually,
It's like a
we-
note here, note there.
yeah, and usually, like a song it's like a handful of takes, and we have the take we like, and then really after that, it's just kind of building on the basic live track. We'll do overdubs of guitars and double and triple up guitars, and I'll come in and do the vocal stuff, and maybe we'll add some other stuff to it. But it's really about using this. I mean, for the way I think of it is we sort of use the studio as like an instrument or a tool to like
Yeah.
craft the thing. In terms of like you have the basic live track of what it is, and then you just sort of like building on top of it rather than like correcting every like little minor thing.
So I also wanted to ask about like the gear. I'm not like a gear head, but I am interested in like what musicians use to like record their stuff. Or does your recording setup differ from your live? I know you said you record everything live, so I'm assuming it's not, but I just wanted to double check and make sure. Is it
It's
different?
depends. For me, my setup is the exact same when we record live, at least as far as like the initial tracking, basic tracking.
Yeah.
Matthew, it changes. He uses, or he has been using, it's not a PV5150, it's like the newer EVH 5150 style amp that they came out with.
Yeah, I think I've seen that thing.
James has one of those in the studio, so he used that. I mean, it sounds exactly like a 5150 to my ears. He used that, and I think he actually also had, I think he had a rat pedal as well. But my setup was the exact same as the live rig, just a Music Man HD130 rat pedal, one delay pedal. And then Mitch, I don't know, did you change anything? Do you use different stuff?
Yeah, well, every recording session is the same, but that's different from the live setup. The live setup's just like an Ampeg SVT4 Pro, I think, or SVT3. Forgot what I have now. And then the recording is straight in through what is it, dark glass emulator.
Oh yeah, dark
Oh,
glass.
okay.
Yep, thing. But I use the same shitty Boss OD3 pedal that I've had for years. That's like the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even after that, we also with all the overdubs and stuff. I mean, there's like 3 other
Yeah,
guitars at least
Yeah.
that have
different amps,
had a
different
completely different settings, completely different pedals, even the guitar itself, different, all that stuff. Sometimes,
but I don't think that's something that like that's kind of on the spot. James is like,
Yeah.
oh, here's a new pedal I got. Try
Yeah,
this, try this.
that's-
Not like a thought out. I
Yeah,
want it this,
Yeah, that's just us like trying different combinations in the studio and then
Yeah.
taking a picture of it so we remember it for later. But I'd forget instantly all the stuff that we use. So I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I like I said, I'm just like I like kind of knowing like at least a little bit about what was used in production because it's it sometimes guys will go in and just use whatever's in there and record, or they'll bring like a personal guitar and that's what they use live. Um,
Do you
I don't-
play? Do you play music?
yeah, I play guitar. I'm not like great at it, but
Are you in a
especially for
band?
as long as I've been playing. Do I what?
Are you in a band?
No.
Not
No,
yet.
I toured with a band. I worked for a band for like 5 years, and that's about all I've ever done.
What was the band?
Yeah.
They're called Carnifex, like a deathcore band, death metal band from Cali.
Y'all know him?
I've heard him. Yeah.
Oh, the name.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What,
Alright.
you worked for him? What does that mean?
I did like merch and crew stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Turning
Grunt
this
work.
interview around.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah.
to. I want to do. I want to like be a merch guy for a big band and like go on tour and do that.
You and da.
Yeah, you could do it in that.
No,
Yeah.
a big, like a
Oh,
good.
a big band. Yeah, yeah.
Big band.
Really?
Yeah,
Is Carnifax? What? Say that. Carnifax? Is that it?
Effects.
yeah.
Are
Carnifex.
they a big band?
Yeah, man. I mean, I just met up with them like last 3 weeks ago. They're on that Chaos and Carnage tour, and I mean, it was like a 1,000+ venue that was pretty much packed.
What
Um,
label is?
They were on Nuclear Blast.
Is that a big label?
It's a big. Yeah. I mean.
Okay. All right. Do they need like a tour videographer? That's what I really want to do. I want. You remember like when bands put out DVD,
Probably.
like buy the DVD of the band.
Yeah.
I want to bring that back.
He wants to bring back DVDs.
I want to bring Blu-rays now, but yeah, like make the thing and then you could sell it on tour. That's what I really want to do. All right. I need to get in touch with Carnifax, I guess.
See, now it's like YouTube stuff. So you'd have to be like
Right.
the tour
Yeah, you gotta
diary
make
guy
TikTok.
and like
I know.
Make some
Yeah, yeah.
reels.
But I think the move, because you're right. The move is here's like a 2-minute clip of a section of the tour.
yeah.
Get the DVD or the Blu-ray to have the whole thing, and then you just have it on the merch table. Make it look real nice.
And
You
no one's
know,
buying that though.
Sell it for $20.
They're not going home and
Yeah,
putting it on their Blu-ray players.
Somebody might. I mean, depends on the band, I think.
You gotta get it on
Yeah.
a streaming service. That's
Oh, that's not bad. Amazon.
yeah.
Some people do that.
Make it good enough to where you could be scrolling on your phone. You have to make it to where people can scroll on their phone while they're watching it, and it's still interesting. That's.
I just learned how to
how to
code.
make
Maybe
that.
I make this an app and then it's like a touring band
want an app.
videography app.
No one's
Alright, I'll
buying, no one's downloading an app.
I'll
Workshop
workshop
it.
this later. Sorry.
Got
Yeah,
enough apps.
Yeah.
Brian, what do you think? What would you weigh in? Would you buy a tour Blu-ray disc?
I don't have any kind of physical media for video stuff, but I don't know if I'm like the exception to the rule.
I don't think you
I
are.
don't collect that stuff. I would just
Yeah.
stream it. I would stream it, or I'd download it illegally, or I'd watch it on YouTube or something.
But what if the only way? What if it's the only way? Earth Crisis.
I
the
won't watch it.
definitive DVD.
Oh well, I missed out.
you can stream it illegally.
Yeah. That's
You
the
don't have to go anywhere. You could channel all this energy and funnel it through the record shop and use the record shop as an outlet to like get the thing.
There you
out.
go. Yeah. No, he wants to make money though. That's his.
I don't have a job. I need work. If you pay me, yeah, let's do it.
I'll pay as
Let me
much
tell
as I
you.
pay myself.
I'm glad we had this talk.
you know, back when I was merchant and all that, I wasn't making that much money. It's probably changed
What?
since then.
That's
'cause
crazy.
I've seen these guys have like 10, 15%, 20% tip things on their merch things now, and I'm like, man, I didn't have. I'm going to make $5 in tips a night, getting
Yeah.
paid
Well-
$200 a
well,
week.
Well, that's the way you could monetize the YouTube thing, Mitch. Is there's a way to do it where you people do like a cash, they like send you money while you're
Yep.
streaming the thing. So you set it up as like you're gonna maybe live stream certain content or whatever as like the thing that you're monetizing, right?
Yeah.
And then the other part of it, like like the things you do for the shop, like the videos, like that's like the advertising you use to like rope them in to start
Right.
with
You
the
do
live
the
stream.
live stream, and then you need content. You need content monetization, my man.
I don't like doing that. I don't like anything I put on YouTube. I want it to be free. I don't want to put ads in front of anything. I don't
Yeah.
like that.
Well, yeah, but that's
feel
not.
you.
I mean, the way it works with the live stream stuff is people basically it's like a tip jar. People would basically just I can't remember what it's called. It's like a super chat or something where they like
Yeah.
while you're doing a live stream, they're like tipping you and they just send you money. There's kind of like, you know, like
That's
a Venmo code. How do you say you don't like that? You do that shit every year once your birthday. Hey, it's my birthday. Here's my Venmo. Send me money.
I work for that money,
What,
honestly.
being alive?
Huh? By doing what?
Being alive?
No, I do a little song and dance. I like make a fool of myself and I like rap people's names and stuff. And you know how much I make every year from that? You would do it too if you knew how much money people give me.
$25.
You stuff for free all the time.
$100.
Hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds of dollars.
Once a year, I make a big fool of myself for birthday. Give me some
more than that, I would say.
Well, yeah. But asking for money, dude, it's worth it.
Asking for money, it's worth it. Take that home with you, folks.
That'll be the clip when I put it on social media.
I'm getting all riled up. I'm choking now. Anyway, yeah, no, but I don't want like the art part of it, like the goofy videos and stuff. I don't want people to have to pay for that. You know?
Yeah, I understand. I know the impulse.
Yeah, I know you know.
Paying for your time, right?
Yeah. I think that answers your question, right?
Yeah.
The gear we use.
Yeah, it's the Boss OD3.
Boss OD3.
I guess one last little thing here. So you guys did a thing earlier this week where you had a video game and the album was in the video game. How did that end up happening? That's pretty cool. I have not seen that in a while, where somebody's done. I think, but I don't know. I just don't keep up with stuff like that. But,
yeah, take that, Horse the Band and Genghis Tron.
I mean, that's a long time ago, man. It's like what, 20 years?
Did they do a video game?
Well, no. I mean, probably. What's the closest thing? Like Creationist Crucifixion, or
Horse the Band is the kind of band that would.
They should have.
Yeah.
If they haven't, I'm surprised. It sounds like the kind of thing that they would do, but ours was cooler.
A buddy of mine created the game Norco. He's an old friend. The idea was to have Val do some songs for it, but the game got so big, he didn't really want our songs anymore. He said no, thank you. And then we begged him, please help us. Please do a game for our songs. This isn't far off from the truth. Please do a game for our songs. And he said, all right, I'll give you a month of my time. And he busted his little butt and he made Selenis.
He's it's a month.
Huh?
He's been working on it for more. This is just a demo too. I mean, this isn't even like
it's not the
game.
It's not the finished game. There's going to be a real game that probably won't even have these songs in it.
Right.
He was honestly reluctant to put out the demo because I think like the gaming community, like the criticism is so harsh for like
it really is
demos and stuff. But
so cool.
It's basically a friend of ours. He was going to do a music video for us at one point, and then at some point the idea of the music video sort of changed to like, oh, let's use your songs as part of this game I'm doing, and we'll do the sound. We worked out the soundtrack from Norco thing. Our songs on that soundtrack aren't actually in the game. They're just like supplemental material that was going to go with supplemental gaming material. And then he sort of like made a left turn and decided to do this other game instead.
Basically,
it's still a cool idea though.
Yeah.
What I said.
Basically what you said, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically what you said, Mitch.
Yeah. Basically what I said.
Please.
Take us back.
Can we have some money, please?
Did you look at the game, Dustin?
I was at work so catch like when it was streaming, but I went to the was it Steam page or whatever. But I have a Mac, so I can't play it.
You can play it on Mac.
What?
Yeah, you can play it on Mac.
I need to relook at that then, because it was only showing me a Windows one, and I was like, God damn it.
Well, when hit if it's not on Steam for some reason, hit us up. But our friend Lee that did the live stream, he was playing it on a Mac.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, damn. Well, cool. That's good to know. Then I will look that up.
But you've already heard the record, so
half of.
I've heard half of it.
Okay, yeah, you need to
yeah
unlock the other half of the record.
Yeah.
That's what we should have done with all the press for this record, then like
They have to play
you
it.
can get an advance copy of half the record, but you have to unlock the rest.
Yeah, that's good. Earn it.
I know you guys have like a little bit hard out here, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Dude, we're just getting started. Let's keep going.
Mitch and Bryan have longer than me.
I got
so.
till noon.
Yeah, what else
Okay.
you got?
I mean, well, I don't know how much you guys like talking about like lyrical content, but I am
Love-
curious about that stuff as
Mitch
well.
loves-
Can we get into some of the because okay, let me do this. I was looking at the song titles, and you know how I like put your own experiences into stuff. It just based off the song titles alone. I don't know the lyrics. I didn't have any. It seems to me like there's some like abusive relationship type stuff there, like just reading through the song tracks. That was my
Nailed it.
initial
Honestly,
take.
Yes.
You could
That's
say.
so funny because the hook of the album has been Bryan saying it's a diss record about thou. So
Okay.
yes, a break of yes. What did you just say? Yes,
Abusive
is
relationship.
abusive relationship. Yes.
And the other members of Thou are the abusers of me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And vice versa.
He's saying this isn't true, but I think like there's a song about each of us. There's little parts of the songs are about each of us. But he's saying, no, it's just thou as a band. And I'm like, no, I could tell the one you wrote about Matthew. I know which one.
Which one's about you?
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying.
Just come out with it, man.
I think there's a little bit of all of us in all of them. That's what I think.
Yeah. All right, Bryan, tell him. Give him the spiel about the lyrical content.
The
Yeah,
spiel.
Yeah.
give me a little spiel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's I had a question, but
No,
Gotta
it is
ask.
interesting. It's interesting. I like it. I like this concept lyrically more than the other ones, I think, before,
That I wrote 2 songs on the record about you specifically, and didn't.
Two?
Well, there's 11 songs, so
Yeah, so we
4
can.
of y'all. I mean, really, it could be 3. I wrote 3 songs. One of y'all only gets 2 songs.
Ooh. Is
So
that
Mitch
good
is the
or bad?
worst.
Does that mean we have wronged you less, or you didn't care enough?
Well, it's probably just Tyler because he hasn't been around long enough for me to write that third
Yeah, right.
his track.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The record is, I mean, I basically wrote it about, the record's supposed to be like, this is the band, this is like the mission statement of the band, or this is like the sort of ideology of the band or whatever. But like, I'm not good at writing those like straightforward type songs, so
Yeah.
I basically had to, rather than write about how, we're this or we're that, and whatever, and sort of like proselytize, I had to like change the perspective a bit and just sort of write it in terms of like how I feel like we're failing at those things that I would like to see us succeed at.
Yeah. Well, like you guys are very like socially conscious, and you're very open about that, and you kind of call shit as you see it, and I appreciate that aspect of the band and the writing, and
We're just opinion.
But is that not like people have been saying that in interviews, and that's coming up, but is that not like a staple of a lot of heavy music these days? It seems to be.
I think it depends on what genre you're talking about specifically. I mean, like
yeah,
metal is like largely, I would say, apolitical, like historically apolitical.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I think that's changing as younger people get, like, especially now with like, the past 5 years or however long of like death metal being in ascendance. I'm sure there's more socially conscious death metal bands out there, but like even then it's like I don't think you're going to hear it in the music per se.
Right.
You'll see it on like social media or something.
Yeah, not looking for it in like the way that songs are written, but lyrically and aesthetically, maybe they're seemed to have been some changes in the past decade, you know?
I mean, I never really understand it when we get that. Like, I don't see us as being especially politically driven or like, I mean, we definitely have like our social politics are definitely like leaning in a certain direction.
Mhm.
But I mean, I don't think that like, I mean, I don't know. I don't see us as being like particularly like extreme in our point of view
Right.
or particularly like outspoken. It's not like
compared
written
to
across the records.
it's all about the comparison, like compared to who, right? Like, yeah, seeing as how we're ostensibly in the metal world, I could see that. I think, but that's only because the bar is so low.
Right, like compared to the body, who stands for nothing and will not go on the
It's for
record
nothing.
any
Believes
which
in
way.
nothing.
Full of hell, no political stance, nothing to say. Cloud Rat, same thing. Never said anything socially progressive.
Well, that one not so much.
I'm trying to think of other bands that are
No,
not
but I
good.
mean your average like old school
Yeah.
death metal revival band is not like singing about in like on like blatantly singing about, even your average like stoner doom band, whatever, like they're just like their songs are just like, you know bongs and wizards and
Yeah, I mean, Mitch,
yeah.
you're in like a bubble with this because like your point of reference is like our
Yeah.
friends bands that like share our values. So like that's not quite the same as like the bigger metal world at large.
Our
But
friends bands that do that are like fairly popular bands.
yeah, but it's still in a bubble. There's still like in terms of
Yeah,
like the genre of metal is like so much.
yeah,
It-
yeah.
Yeah, I
it's
mean, you got to
why
consider
that's why
people.
I'm
I'm not tapped in.
back against it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
like
I'll give you an example without like throwing anybody under the bus. Basically,
Throw some
within the past
Throw
few years,
somebody-
there's I don't care because I don't like this. There's been accusations of a band called Slile leaning with Nazi ideology and anti-trans stuff, and this band's fucking huge. Like they're one of the biggest deathcore bands. But knowing that that's like what they believe in, and they openly, well, not openly, but they have hinted and like have been accused of it, fans don't care. They're still like,
the band? Literally,
whatever.
what's the band? What are they called?
Slaughter to prevail.
Never heard of them.
I mean, don't waste your time. It's not worth
But
it.
they're a big band who are like not openly, but basically openly anti-trans is the thing.
Yeah. The singer especially has been like pretty open about it, and he has like a black sun tattoo, and he's from Russia, so they're on that side of the war too. So it's like it's weird. No, anybody who listens to that band, they don't give a fuck. They're like, whatever, man, just the riffs, that kind
Yeah.
of bullshit.
well,
And
that's
it's
what I
like,
mean. Like I think that is the average metal
yeah,
fan, just historically. I mean, like I said, I do think that there's a shift, at least if it's not already happening, that is going to happen as generationally. Like we all know that, like generationally, younger younger folks are more outspoken with their politics and
yeah.
are less tolerant of like these kind of like either apolitical or like right wing aligned type of bands. So I mean, like, but I don't know, for us, I feel like we were way more upfront, I guess, in the earlier days, but even then, we were just in alignment with all of like in the general scene we were in, playing with like anarchist bands and playing DIY spaces and like people we knew in band. Like there was nothing like that stood out about the way that we approached politics, because it was, I mean, even compared to a lot of the bands we were playing with, we were like the least outspoken, because we used to play so many shows with bands who did full on speeches in between songs and all this kind of stuff. Like,
Oh wow.
so for us, it was like, if anything, we're like the least radical seeming people there. So the only reason I think that we stand out to people in that regard is just because the the like average metal band is like just not really looking to integrate their politics into the music, which even we do that to an extent, but in a way that is still like incorporated within the music in a way that makes sense. Like we're not gonna, I don't think it would like musically and aesthetically for us to like put out some like super blatant like sloganeering type song like would be
Right.
a outlier for us and probably wouldn't make sense in the context of the band. But I mean,
Well, but then we've got Don't Vote, you know.
Smoke Pigs, yeah. But again, that's like from that's back in the day, that's like over a decade ago.
Got to bring that back, maybe.
I'm not good at writing those kind of songs. I mean, if I was better at writing those kind of like songs, it would.
Even then, it's like if we were gonna do that, I'd form a different band to do that.
Right.
I mean, it gets into a whole other discussion about, how effective or like how effective is that platform versus, dedicating your life to activism or something, like bands as like the arbiter of these sorts of things is it's very strange to me. I mean, I think it's fair to like know what side of the fight a band you love is on, but I think that like looking to bands to necessarily like, you know, be the arbiters of morality, I think is kind of a weird
Right.
position personally.
It's strange to
Yeah.
me to hear about this band, this like anti-trans, huge death metal-y band, that because heavy music and like extreme music, punk stuff has been like a counterculture thing.
I know.
So taking that, so I'm definitely not tapped in the way that you guys are, but just it's such a strange thing to me. But I guess it makes sense. There's such a wide variety of people playing this kind of music that just want to hear heavy stuff. But like taking that sort of stance is bananas to me. To be like, I'm in this extreme band that is not gonna. I mean, you can get popular in this world of heavy music, but you're not gonna be like Beyonce big playing extreme music. I guess there's like Slipknot too, but okay, sure. But like, I don't know. You're supposed to be the weirdo and like friends with the weirdos. That just doesn't make sense to me.
I agree that it's not the band's responsibility to like play politics, but I do think that listeners should do diligence and see like what these bands are saying. And I don't think they should be like canceled or anything like that, like whatever, but you shouldn't support them. They shouldn't like have some sort of a backbone and a stance when it comes to that stuff. And I think that, like you said, the average metal listener, like, they just don't care. So it's kind of weird. But
I mean, also those like right wing politics, incel or edgelord or whatever, like that is also like extremist,
yeah,
weirdo points of view that like that has traditionally found a home in metal. That's how a lot of the metal. That's why I didn't get involved in like the New Orleans metal scene for so long, because so much of that like Neanderthal is just ingrained in it. Going back to something that Andy said though about like bands, like I completely agree that like bands shouldn't be looked at as like arbiters of morality, but I do think that like bands, music, art in general is like a good way to like bring people into politics. Rage Against the Machine, Earth Crisis also. I mean, Rage Against the Machine is like almost absolutely why I have like radical politics, and sort of like what led me in that pipeline and got me to like Earth Crisis and all this other stuff that like pushed the politics even further left than so I mean I think there is something to be said about like injecting certain politics. For us, I just don't see how we would do it. I mean, this record is like a perfect example of like, I don't know how we would do it without feeling hypocritical, without the music sounding corny, like cheesy,
just like
it just
grandstanding, like we're not
Yeah.
gonna put out a thing that's like, check out how fucking radical and woke we are. Like,
no, it would feel completely disingenuous, but also like our politics, like at least the way I'm coming at the lyrics, like the politic or the opinion isn't necessarily like the meat of that, the substance of that isn't what I care to get across. It's that there's an emotion attached to like some opinion or some experience or whatever. Or honestly, like the bulk of the material for me is like navigating like inner conflict and like I feel this way about a thing today and I feel this way about a thing tomorrow. And like how do I rectify that? How do I like, you know, deal with that as a person?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also I do think like to go back just for a second to what you said about this like if someone if there were a contingency of people online who were like we're misinterpreting our band and leveraging like claims that we were like, for instance, like an anti-trans band or something, like we would set the record straight on that and be vocal about it, not through the music, you know, but just like, hey, just so everyone knows, like that's not what we're about. So I think it's fine. Like I can see us making clarifying stances. It's just we're not gonna like proactively gonna come out and be like, we're against this as in a song or like just I don't know. I just it's hard to imagine us doing that without it coming across in a really potentially corny and or shitty way.
Virtue signaling. Like, that's what all it would seem to me. It'd be us like
it's instead of doing that, you know, it makes more sense to like play a benefit show for somebody or like donate money to someone or go to a protest or like literally anything else other than a thing that elevates us as people in this like stance. Like it makes more sense to get involved with like things that are already happening that center the people that are actually affected by the thing. I think that's the danger you run whenever like your band becomes super full of like moralistic platitudes. It's like you're elevating yourself as the point of the focal point, you know.
Right. And we've talked about like how like maybe with the shirts or some of the merch or stuff or whatever, I might put like sort of provocative statements that like have more of a like direct, it's a little clearer in terms of like what we believe in or like what we agree on politically as a band. But like normally when I'm doing the merch and all that stuff, it's like because I'm specifically trying to like do exactly that, trying to like reaffirm a certain viewpoint that maybe is sort of like being called into question, or I'm like, if we're navigating a certain crowd, I might be putting stuff on there to sort of like troll that crowd a little bit by putting something like putting some statement out there, something that we believe in and that we think, you know, most people in general should probably believe in, but like that will make a certain crowd uncomfortable because for whatever reason they find it provocative.
Yeah, like putting the two dudes kissing and touching each other's dicks on a shirt, you know. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The homosexual agenda.
Wait, you guys have an agenda?
Just a homosexual.
Oh, yeah, make money. Okay. Give us the money.
Let us dance for the money.
Yeah, it's always like a weird fine line in metal, it seems like. I don't know. Like you mentioned virtue signaling. That's something like that's why I didn't really want to name names. I'm not trying to like, hey, you shouldn't listen to this band. Like you do whatever the fuck you're gonna do. It's not my place to tell you, you know, you shouldn't or whatever. But even like politics stuff, I usually try to stay podcast, but oops.
I understand that on the podcast, but I like don't listen to that band. Tell people, yeah, that dude, these people fucking suck as people. Don't listen to them.
And the people who agree with them will still continue to listen to them. So
yeah, they're gonna listen.
They're gonna like, you know. So,
but also, I understand exactly what you're saying too, especially being like a podcast host. But I wish more people would be like, "Hey, here's what this band is talking about. Maybe don't give them the time of day more often." You know.
Fortunate when you see like bigger guys giving them a platform to talk about that junk, and it's just man.
Yeah,
not
you're
even
gonna open
like
yourself up to a bunch of shit you don't want to deal with too. But yeah, so I also get that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about it. What's somebody gonna do? Like show up at my house?
Yeah.
Show up at his house.
Yeah. Come on, guys, show up bring Alex Terrible to my house and let him.
That's his name?
Alex.
Yeah, that
Well,
is.
I
That
guess
is
you
what
know.
he
Hey,
goes by.
he let you know from the start.
Yeah, it's not. He didn't hide it.
Advertising.
Alex Terrible. That sounds so familiar.
I think
I
I just
think-
sent Mitch down a rabbit hole, and he's just gonna
Is he like a German guy or something?
He's Russian.
Russian.
Yeah.
Does he like fight bears or like
Yeah,
hug?
yeah.
He's the bear guy. I know who you're
Yeah.
talking about.
I bet you're thinking about Ivan the Terrible, a different guy.
Fuck. I just saw him on Instagram the other day, and
He liked a bunch of his posts.
no, and like there was some concert where he's like screaming and he's not using the microphone and
Yeah.
some big fest. I was like, dang, that's pretty cool.
Now you feel bad.
I mean,
you feel bad about it.
Yeah.
He's got a voice. Don't get me wrong, but you know.
Yeah, damn, I wish he didn't feel like that. That sucks.
Maybe you could change his mind, Mitch.
I just want to talk to him. I just want to start a dialogue with Alex Terrible.
Do it. Send him a Instagram DM and
Hey, buddy, let's chat. That dude's huge. He would beat the shit out of me.
hey, it beats shit out of me too.
He's so strong. That sucks. I hate when people are strong and into dumb shit. So annoying.
Man, I don't want to go out on a sour note like that. Well, it's not sour, but
I feel great.
all right. Let's say everything that we feel right now, guys. No, real talk though. Like the album comes out on Friday, right?
Yeah, Friday.
Friday. I mean, when you guys like finally get the in the world, like what does that look like on your end? As like nervous, like like what's all the feelings like once it's out there and people are finally like listening to it and everything?
I've changed very recently on how I feel about it. Watching other, like in the past, it's been like, oh my God, it's happening. It's this big event. And it's like, it means a lot to people. But more recently, I've seen that with other bands. You do have this moment. It lasts about a week and then it goes away and it doesn't mean anything anymore. And I am, not that it doesn't mean anything, but like you move on, another record comes out.
Hype cycle has ended.
Yeah, and I'm realizing that from the outside now. So I'm like excited that the album's coming out. I'm excited to hear what people think, but it is just another album that we've put out that nobody's going to care about in the long run. No, I'm very excited. I'm very excited about it.
Anyway.
I'm very excited about it, but mostly just excited to see what people think of House of Ideas track 4 on the first half of it.
Well, specifically the first half, yeah.
Don't listen to the second half.
Yeah, I'm excited, but I'm mostly just curious to see what people make of it because I still don't really know what I make of it. I think it's good, but I don't like. It's still hard for me to place in the arc of our career or whatever. So I'm curious to see where people place it and like what reference points they draw from it that aren't mentioned in our press packet or whatever. Like because it's funny. Like a lot of people are like, oh, taking inspiration from 90s hardcore.
Yeah.
Which like
always
thematically and lyrically, yeah. Musically, 0. Literally 0, less than 0 somehow.
The only thing that's gonna excite me is if we get to one of those year-end lists and we are number 1 on all.
Hey, can you give me 1 second? Somebody's at my door.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's that dude.
Oh no, it's terrible.
Terrible.
Mr. Terrible.
I heard what you said.
Hello,
I brought
Mr.
my
Terrible.
bear. Damn, I hate that dude sucks.
A lot of people that suck. If you were to like just look into that genre for like a second, you'd find like 10 more of those guys. They're all over the place.
Yeah,
it does make sense.
I'm gonna just stick with Coldplay and Mos Def.
Sorry, it's my maintenance
you think
guy.
Coldplay's not problematic?
What about that?
Marry Gwyneth Paltrow, and she's a little.
Where do you think where does Coldplay stand on the situation in Gaza?
Dude, I bet they've done it in Gaza.
You think?
I'll look into it.
All right, look into it and let me know.
I'll look into it. I'll call them out on Instagram if they.
That'll show them. Are we gonna stop following them from the band Instagram?
Well, no. I mean, we're not gonna do that. We're not crazy. I'm not trying to cancel them. Cancel
guys.
Coldplay?
believe in
Yeah,
it if you
Justin,
want.
thanks for having us and letting us rant
Wait,
about
we didn't hear what
Mitch's
Brian had to
butt.
say
Oh
about
yeah,
what.
sorry.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry,
Sorry,
I got
Brian.
interrupted.
What?
About the record coming out.
Oh, I mean, I'm looking for this. I mean, I'm looking for the same stuff that you guys like, seeing what people think of it. I'm mostly curious to see if playing songs that are a little bit more energetic re-energizes our audience a little bit. I mean, it's gonna be hard to tell because we're not touring. We don't, we go on tour in August, and then the next tour is like October. So people probably have forgotten about us by then. But yeah, I'm excited to see if that changes anything with our audience. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, it's funny.
We got people waiting at the door to open up.
Probably. There are usually people outside the shop. 1 or 2.
On Tuesday? That's crazy.
People need their vinyl, man.
When is this podcast gonna come out?
We can put it out next Monday, if that works. I don't know if you guys have like specific days you like want stuff out or whatever. I was kind of like,
It's your decision.
You don't
Okay.
have a regular release schedule?
yeah, I put stuff out on Mondays. It just depends, like because I also do like these history episodes where like if I can't talk to a band, I just kind of break down like what albums came out, and like this year I chose 2004, so everything that came out in 2004 I'm trying to like go through and chronicle
Ooh.
and all that stuff.
Good year. That's
Yeah.
a good
Dude, there's some crazy awesome shit that came out in 2004.
Specifically in the metal world, though, huh?
Yeah, just mostly metal. I lean towards punk stuff too, like especially in the early days. I felt like punk music was so integral to making thrash possible. They just played sped up punk riffs, because a lot of my favorite bands were like Black Flag and Gorilla Biscuits and stuff like that. So it's like,
We got a
there's
Gorilla
some
Biscuits
correlation.
cover coming out.
Ooh, what song?
Stand Still.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm the one that learned it and taught it to everybody. I already forgot what song it was.
That's funny.
Cool.
Yeah, man, I just stagger stuff, and if a band wants me to like hold back something until they're like, hey, this is getting closer to our release thing or whatever.
No,
So
people
yeah.
have already been putting interviews and reviews out. It's already been done.
I hate all that stuff. The way like labels try to like manage the rollout and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't, as a person who like, because I got a record shop and I put on shows for a while, like, so I get a lot of that promo stuff coming in. And as a person who gets the promo stuff, like, it just does not seem effective to me in any meaningful way. But
if anything, I'd say the sooner the better for you. I mean, not that we necessarily are gonna like bump your numbers or anything, but because of like the record coming out Friday, the closer to that for you, the better, right?
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
so.
Bump your
I
numbers.
mean, yeah, it'll help you guys too. Who knows?
Yeah,
Bump
please.
our number.
We need it.
We need a number bump.
Well, I'll get you exactly 10. No, I'm just kidding.
If 10 quality listeners, that's a lot of Spotify cents right there. We could get
My dad's gonna listen to this probably. So,
oh hell yeah.
and I don't think he's heard your podcast before.
He's gonna fight that Russian dude.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I just kind of like leave it up to bands, and like Brian mentioned, man, when I was kind of like I went on hiatus for a couple years too because I just got burnt with like bigger labels and stuff, and like the demands they wanted of like you need to have this out by this day or you can't do it this time or you only get like 15 minutes with this dude from this band, and I'm like,
yeah,
you're missing the point of what I'm trying to do here with this podcast. So I just kind of like I kind of quit going for like those major label big dudes because like I don't know, anybody can get those guys on, I guess, and it's not as interesting to me.
I mean, what interesting things those people have to say anyway? They have so much management and people doing all the shit for them. Like,
Right.
What do they really have to say other than the same talking points of like the technical aspects of how they craft a song or how they record a song, which is like there's only so many ways you can slice that up. Like, who gives a shit? Like, I went back and listened to the interview you did with Ethan McCarthy. That was great.
Oh, thanks, man.
He's like he's a mover he's in the heaviest band in the world,
The
right?
heaviest band in the world.
100%. They are one of my favorites, and I can't disagree. They're stupid heavy.
Fucking heavy, bro.
Play some
That's all-
riffs.
That's all I
Nothing-
care about.
Nothing to say, but
No,
super.
but yeah,
Super heavy.
Just kidding.
Now-
Just kidding.
now Ethan's gonna fight you.
Right.
Dude,
Like,
Ethan's
Making
such
all kinds of, you're making all kinds of enemies on this podcast.
I don't give a
Why would he
fuck.
fight me? Oh, fight him.
I just got done working out. I'm gonna beat somebody's ass. One
We'll
of you
wrestle a
guys.
bear, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Taking the time to do this with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I'm glad I finally got you guys on. So it worked out after like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it again in 5 or 6 more.
Yeah, or whenever the next album has an anniversary, we'll go through that.
Well, there's bound to be one just about every year from now till
I
it's
know.
The end of time.
good
I
one.
know, right? All right,
all
guys.
right.
I will be in touch, and I'll let you know when everything goes up and all that kind of stuff, and I'll send you links.
Sounds
Cool.
good.
Thanks, man.
All right.
All right.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
See ya.
Bye.